Hi, Abraham. I didn't plan on crying, but I guess I'm going to. It's been a long, strange trip. I've been on the road from San Diego to Phoenix for about 45 years, as far as I can tell. Searching and looking and...
That's a good thing.
Is it a good thing?
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You've been out there alive, is that what you're telling us?
Yeah.
And interested?
Right, and curious and wondering, and
yes.
I even became a psychologist.
Think about the alternative. My feet are nailed down, and I can't go anywhere, and I know it. Aren't you glad you've been moving?
Very much.
Sometimes people will say, I'm stuck. And we say, it's not possible for you to be stuck because energy is always in motion. They say, well, I'm stuck. I've been living this condition for a long, long time. And we say, you're not stuck. It's just changing to the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. Those are very powerful words because everything is changing in response to the energy that's moving through you. So you could say, everything's changing in response to the way you feel. And so if it feels like you're stuck, it's because you're offering similar thoughts. And the universe is responding, changing to those similar thoughts. So different faces, different places, but similar experience. Yes.
Right. Along the path, I became a psychologist and done a bunch of therapy and analysis and stuff like that. And the question I have in my own mind, professionally as well as personally, is if someone, for example, using the metaphor of San Diego, if someone's, quote, stuck in San Diego and they come to see me, for example, it seems to have been valuable in the paradigm I practice to talk about family of origin and how come they're stuck, or dealing with couples who seem to marry their families of origin all the time and act it out. There seems to be value in that in terms of finding out that you're in San Diego before you can move on, and I'm not sure that that's just a way of keeping people stuck. I don't know if I can...
Well, we have never been advocates of needing to explain how you got to where you are, because that just holds you where you are longer, or even takes you to places that you were before you got to where you are. Mm-hmm. But we are encouraging being aware of where you are so that you can feel the relief when you move from it. In other words, it's helpful to talk for just a little bit about how it feels to be here so that you can feel the relief. But we would be speaking more in terms of the emotional content than the circumstances that caused it, although they are really intertwined. And so some of both often is the case. But as long as their mentor or as their guide, you are aware of where they want to go, and you are aware of where they are and which way they're moving on the vibrational meter, then they won't get lost again. We think what has gone wrong with most traditional therapy is that someone is feeling the utter disempowerment of grief or depression, whatever it is. And we really want to acknowledge that you are all empowered beings. You are powerful beings, and you are beings who are free. That's who you are. And so if someone has come to the belief that they're not free, or that they're not powerful, or that they don't have power, that's as bad as it gets. That's suffocating to them, you see. And almost everyone that you treat is there or close to there, you see. And so what happens so often is, so there they are, and without even knowing it, their own guidance system and law of attraction and their own source energy assist them in this self-survival instinct, which is to reach for an angry thought, which is the best thought that they can find. But so often then therapy sees the anger, which is being expressed to other people, which could get them in trouble or whatever, and then begins condemning them for their anger. Or they'll reach for drugs or alcohol to try to find relief, and then they're condemned for that action as well. So what happens is they go from this suffocating, debilitating, powerless feeling, they aren't powerless, but they feel that they are, into the self-survival anger. And if then a mentor or a guide could say, good for you, you've made progress, and you know that you've made progress because don't you feel better? Now try to feel a little better. They could be led very quickly right back out into the sunshine. But when the self-survival mechanism brought them to something that did feel better, but those around them don't want to see the anger, then they go back to the depression. And so many of them just spin around there, and that's what makes them feel like they're stuck. They are not able to make big enough bridge that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, successful, balanced people acknowledge their progress. You see? And so that's why we want to shout to them. Nobody else knows. Only you know that this anger was an improvement. And you got to leave everybody else out of the equation. That's what's going wrong with so many. Almost no one is consciously using the guidance that they were born with to know where they are. They don't know where they are because they're using so many outside arbitrary rules and guidelines. Religion is so willing to give them to you, and your parents were so willing to give them to you. Your society wants to give them to you. Almost everybody has an opinion about how you should feel and where you should be and what you should do. But you're the only one who knows that this thought is a more life-giving thought than the thought that you were thinking before. So imagine the benefit someone would have about having someone like you who understands energy, who understands emotion, who is willing to take the time to listen to where they are, and who is willing to acknowledge that the angry thought is an improved thought, and then sit by while they reach for an even better feeling thought than the angry thought. It is a restoring of life, you see. They don't mean to be angry, they just are. They would like to be happy, they just aren't. They can't find the bridge yet, you see. Oh, what bridges you will build.
I have another question about a bridge. I don't condone it really, but it was very impactful for me about 30 years ago. And Johns Hopkins University has just started again another research project using LSD. And it was very impactful for me. It kind of cracked my cosmic egg. It woke me up in ways that were confusing, and yet it led me to move on. And I know there's horror stories about it, and I'm curious about the use of a drug that seems to like be a periscope up into possibilities and then fall back down into this reality. It seems
well, the advantage of it is that it gives someone the opportunity to experience the euphoria that they have not felt for a while. Mm-hmm. The disadvantage of it is that it gave them a dose of euphoria that they haven't figured out how to find without the LSD.
Right.
So then the LSD becomes more important to them. That would sort of be like having someone pressing a pillow to your face and someone giving you a little tube of oxygen, and then you taking the tube of oxygen away and they say, give it back.
Yeah.
Give it back.
Yeah.
And you would say, well, I'm going to teach you how to get the pillow off your face. And they say, well, in good time, but meanwhile, give me the tube. Because right now, I really want to breathe, you see.
Yeah.
So many people turn to drugs or alcohol because in their less focused state of thinking, they are less resistant and they feel relief, their cork floats. But then because they have not figured out how to get there by changing the thought, then they become dependent upon the substance that took them into the relief. And then society begins to condemn the substance, and then they don't know where to go.
The final thing that I wanted to ask was where I am, I guess, with respect to myself and other, and that's a psychological language of self and other and so on, and awareness and all the awareness training I've done. And it seems to me ultimately that when there's nothing but awareness, that's God. When our awareness merges and there's no separateness, there's no other, there's only self. Is that kind of in the ballpark?
Well, yes, it is, but we would put it into even more specific terms. All awareness is God. Because all that you see is the furthest extension of that which you are referring to as God. And so awareness that feels joyous as you are having it is awareness with no resistance. That's pure God force flowing through you in that focused moment. And to the degree that you feel less good, then you're sort of pinching it off a little bit. In other words, that which you call source or that which you call God is always flowing through you. It's always available to you. And to the degree that you are able to allow it and decipher it in any moment is about the amount of resistance that you're holding. But over the time, many of you have been listening to us as we talk about resistance. And we think in some ways you have come away thinking resistance is a bad thing because it is keeping me from the good that would be there otherwise, and negative emotion is a bad thing because it's my indication of resistance. And instead, what we would like to say is there is no bad in any of this. There is just awareness, and there is more life-giving awareness and there is less life-giving awareness, but it is all awareness, and it's all good. And you get to choose how good you are willing to let it be for you. There are many very spiritual organizations that actually say, because they see the effect of resistance in people's experience, it's better that you do not want. Many times they'll sit in the chair and they'll say, Abraham, I've been taught to be desireless. And we say, and why would you want to do that? What are they telling you will happen? And they say, I will be more joyful. And we say, and is not joy a desire? In other words, you are born desirers of well-being, and you are born focusers of this energy that creates worlds. And the more you are focusing it, the better you like it, unless you're focusing it and not allowing it to flow. So you've got your foot on the accelerator and you've got your foot on the brake. In other words, you've got your hands on the steering wheel. You get to decide where you go, how fast you go. You get to decide all of it. And your emotions let you know how you're focusing the energy. Just like the lens of your camera focuses for the picture. It focuses the contrast. It takes light and dark in order for you to even see anything in that picture. And you are focusing the energy of allowing and disallowing to create, you see. And your emotions tell you everything that you need to know about how you're doing. And everyone else's do too. So as a counselor, what we would say, if we were in your shoes and we were visiting with anyone, we would say, first of all, it's not my job to tell you what to want. That's your job. And next, it's not my job to tell you if you're going about it in the right way. That's your job too. My job, we would say to them, is to make you aware of your guidance system. What's the benefit of moving up that vibrational meter? What does it mean? We want to address that here because we haven't talked about it clearly. So this is the way that it is. Contrast helps you to specifically choose what you desire. That's step one. Preferences born in you in every moment. And can you imagine how many preferences have been set forth even before you were born into this body and all of the years since? Can you imagine the millions upon millions, countless, we cannot even find numbers of preferences that have exuded from you that the universe is responding to on your behalf? You are a veritable vortex energy field. The summoning power that is happening around you because of your exposure to life and the desires that have been born within you is enormous. So here is all of this powerful desire flowing. So step one is asking. That's taken care of. Step two, source is answering. That's taken care of. In other words, there's no question that what you have asked for is being heard and answered. It's being answered constantly. The question is, what am I doing right now? And that's why you want to pay attention to the way you feel. Your emotions are letting you know, I'm not allowing what I'm asking for. I am allowing what I'm asking for. On this subject, I'm allowing a little more than on this subject. This subject is wide open. Things are manifesting. I can see it. I feel really good. This subject feels blocked. Well, that's logical. And as you start paying attention to the absolute correlation between the way you feel and what's manifesting, then you understand that you hold the key to the letting it in. If you could see an aerial view, it would be, and we can, all of these things that you've been asking for are lined up right outside your door. Lined up right there. Endless people and places and circumstances and events, all lined up to accommodate you. All lined up. And as you reach for the thought that feels a little better, some of them squirt in. And as you reach for the thought that feels better, more of them squirt in. As you reach for, and right away, in the first day of finding the delicious relief that rage gives you over depression, something will manifest. You will see movement in your experience just with that incremental change. And you can imagine each day that you reclaim your ground and you begin saying things like, well, I'm not there yet. I'm not into positive emotion, but I sure feel better than I did. And everything in your experience, every relationship will adjust to the new stance you have found vibrationally. It's great fun to watch it with those that you are mentoring.
Yes.
Something more?
No, I think I just want to say thank you, and Jerry and Esther and everybody who's here. I just feel very grateful.
We're all in this together. And we're all having a very good time.
Yes.
On our way to San Diego. But we have to say to you, San Diego is like Ithaca. It is an elusive dream. It'll always be out there, and you'll always be on your way to it. So you might as well get happy now.